We are about to embark on a journey that transcends the ordinary, a profound exploration that will redefine your understanding of reality and your own power. Prepare to unlock a universal secret, whispered by the winds of ancient wisdom and echoed by the teachings of an unparalleled master, Neville Goddard. Imagine for a moment, what if everything you've ever believed about life, about destiny, about creation, was about to be turned upside down? What if the key to everything you longed for resided, not in Herculean effort in the outer world, but in a silent, omnipotent sanctuary within you? This isn't just another motivational speech. It's an invitation to awakening, a door opening to the understanding that you are not merely a passenger in the current of life, but the helmsman, the builder, the architect of your universe. By the end of this script, you will have a clarity few achieve, an unwavering faith in your inner power, and clear instructions to begin shaping your reality in ways that once seemed impossible. You will discover why imagination is not just an escape from reality, but the only true reality. You will learn the ancient technique that the great masters of manifestation used, a technique that may seem simple, but whose depth transforms lives. And, most importantly, you will be inspired to live from this truth, eliminating doubt and embracing your limitless potential. Think with me, why would anyone dedicate their time to exploring these ideas? Because, on some level, the human soul yearns for more. It yearns for freedom, for fulfillment, for a deeper connection with the meaning of existence. All of us, at some point, encounter barriers, unfulfilled desires, and the feeling of being at the mercy of external forces. But what if I told you that these forces are, in fact, projections of your own inner state? What if true scarcity, true limitation, resided only in your perception and your imagination? There is an emptiness that material success does not always fill, a thirst for something deeper that the distractions of everyday life cannot quench. This thirst is the call of your own I am, the divine essence within you, crying out to be recognized and utilized. This is why you should care about what is about to be revealed. This is why this message resonates with the deepest part of your being, the part that has always known intuitively that there is more to life than meets the eye. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have everything while others struggle tirelessly? It's not about luck nor privilege, but about an understanding, conscious or unconscious, of a universal law. A law as ancient as time itself, yet often obscured by the complexities of modern life. What differentiates those who achieve their greatest dreams from those who remain trapped in cycles of frustration? The answer is simple, but its application demands a discipline of mind and heart. Imagination. Neville Goddard left us a legacy of teachings that challenge Cartesian logic and invite a revolution of consciousness. He did not speak of complex rituals or the worship of an external deity, but rather of the discovery of the inner God, the creative force that resides within each of us. His message is a beacon for those seeking mastery over their own reality, and the core of this mastery is the understanding that imagination is the only reality. Consider humanity's greatest achievements, from the invention of the wheel to the landing on the moon. Every advance, every creation, originated in a single place, someone's imagination. First, the idea was conceived in the mind, lived in thought, felt as real, before materializing on the physical plane. But we often fail to consider that this same principle applies to absolutely everything in our lives. That the current state of your marriage, your career, your health, your finances, everything, without exception, is the result of an imagined state, consciously or unconsciously, that you adopted. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This biblical passage, often interpreted literally and distantly, gains revolutionary depth through Neville's lens. The word is not a spoken word, but imagination, concept, assumed state. The word is the creative activity of your own mind. And if the word is God, and the word was with God, and the word was God, this means your imagination is the very divine essence, the creative power of all that exists. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. This includes not only the beautiful and desirable things, but also the unlovely ones, which we call mistakes or bad luck. If God is the only creator, and your imagination is that God, then you are ultimately responsible for everything that manifests in your life. Not to blame yourself, but to recognize your power and the responsibility that comes with it. Neville emphasized, "I kill and I make. Alive, I wound and I heal. I create the blessing and I create the curses. But now I must choose life, choose the lovely things. The choice is always yours." The great question then is not whether you have an imagination, but whether you are using it consciously and with purpose. We are constantly imagining all the time, but most of us do it reactively, without control, allowing fears, doubts, and worries to become the seeds that sprout in our reality. The outer world, with its news, its dramas, its opinions, steals our attention and leads us to imagine undesirable states. And then we are surprised when those states manifest. What is now proof was once only imagined. This is a fundamental truth that, once understood and accepted, unveils a new universe of possibilities. Your house, your car, your phone, even the clothes you wear, all of this first existed as an idea, a mental image, a concept in someone's mind, and then, through faith and persistence in imagination, it became real. Tomorrow, when you wake up, observe the world around you. Every object, every structure, every human interaction, all are a silent testament to the power of imagination. But most people do not make this connection. They live their lives as if they are victims of circumstances, without realizing that they are the very weavers of the fabric of their existence. What are you imagining now? What story are you telling yourself about your life? That story is your word, and it is manifesting. You might say, "Oh, but that's just my imagination." And Neville would reply with a depth that shakes the pillars of your perception. All imagination is Christ. Therefore, it is all reality. When you dismiss your imagination as just something, you are, in fact, dismissing the very divine creative power within you. You are denying the truth that there is nothing in this world that was not first imagined. And this is where the transformation begins. Objective reality is solely produced through the act of imagining. If you doubt it, try to name a single thing in this world that did not originate in an idea, in a thought, in a mental image. You will not succeed, because creation operates through this unalterable principle. It is the law, and like every universal law, it functions regardless of your belief or disbelief. It simply is. So, what is the secret? It is not to force events. It is not to fight against circumstances. It is to go within, into the sacred sanctuary of your own imagination, and decide with crystal clarity what you truly want. Not what others think you should want, not what society dictates, but what your heart yearns for. Ask no one's permission. Permission has already been granted by existence itself. The decision is yours. What do you want now? Not for tomorrow, not for next year, but for this very moment. Close your eyes for an instant and imagine, what would you feel if that desire were a reality now? What would it feel like, smell like, sound like? Give that emotion, that mood, all the sensory vividness of reality. Feel it in every fiber of your being, and then sleep in that state as if it were the unquestionable truth. Sleep as if your desire were already fulfilled. This is not an exercise in empty positive thinking. It is an act of conscious creation. It is an assumption. And when you become faithful to that assumption, the outer world will inevitably reorganize itself to reflect what you have assumed as true. Manifestation is the resurrection of your imagined state. People may not believe you when you say it was your imagination that created it. They will point to the bridge of incidents, to the series of physical events that led to your goal, and give credit to those events. But you, in your heart, will know the true cause. The cause is invisible, for the cause is God, and God is your own wonderful human imagination. What does this teaching awaken in you? Share in the comments how this idea that imagination is the only reality resonates in your heart and mind. Have you ever had an experience, perhaps without realizing it, where something you imagined manifested in your life? Leave your testimony and join us in this conversation of awakening. we understand that the Word, the power of God, is your own wonderful human imagination, and that everything in the objective world is a manifestation of what was first imagined. But the big question that arises is, how do we transform this philosophical understanding into a practical tool for life? This is where the law of assumption and its techniques come into play, offering a clear map for navigating the territory of conscious creation. The law of assumption is simple in its essence, yet profound in its implications. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and live from that state. It's not about ardently wishing, passively waiting, or furiously struggling. It's about assumption, the act of accepting something is true, even if your current circumstances seem to contradict it. It's the commitment to mentally and emotionally place yourself in the future you long for, as if it were already your present. Imagination is the canvas, and assumption is the brush. But how do you wield this brush with mastery? Neville taught us practical methods to immerse ourselves in the state of the wish fulfilled. The first and most powerful technique is the feeling session before sleep. Neville emphasized the importance of falling asleep feeling the truth of your wish fulfilled. Why? Because sleep is when the conscious mind quiets and the door to the subconscious opens. It is in this receptive state that the seeds of your imagination can be planted most effectively without the resistance of the critical mind. How to do this? Before lying down, visualize your wish already realized. Don't just see it, but feel it. If you desire a loving relationship, imagine the warmth of an embrace, the sound of a voice that loves you, the feeling of security and belonging. If you seek success in your career, feel the satisfaction of a project successfully completed, the recognition of your colleagues, the financial abundance it provides you. Create a small scene in your mind that implies the fulfillment of your desire. A simple, brief scene, but one that carries the full emotional weight of reality. I had a personal experience that illustrates this perfectly. Some years ago, I wished to expand my work and reach a wider audience. I used to lie down and, instead of worrying about the hows, I imagined myself responding to messages of gratitude from people whose lives had been touched by my content. I felt the joy of those messages, the satisfaction of having served. I repeated this scene, this feeling, until I fell asleep. Months later, I began to receive exactly the kind of feedback I had imagined, and my work expanded in ways I could not have consciously planned. Another crucial technique is the mental diet. Just as you choose the foods that nourish your body, you must choose the thoughts that nourish your mind. Throughout the day, your mind will be bombarded by external suggestions, by doubts, by fears. Your job is to become the guardian of your own imagination. When a negative thought about your desire arises, gently dismiss it and return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Affirm to yourself, I am already that. I already have that. This is not denying reality, but reaffirming the greater truth of your assumption. Neville spoke of the importance of living from the end. What does this mean? It means that if you desire, for example, a happy marriage, you don't think about how you're going to find the right person, how you're going to overcome the challenges of the relationship. You think and act as if you are already happily married. Would you wear a ring? Feel it on your finger, even if physically it's not there. Would you feel loved and secure? Adopt that feeling. The end is the realized state, and it is from that end that you must depart. This approach is based on the premise that the external world is just a reflection, a mirror. If you change what is in the mirror, you won't change it directly. You will change what is reflecting into the mirror. And what you are reflecting is your inner state, your assumption. It is important, but crucial, to understand that these techniques are not magic tricks. They are the conscious application of a universal law. You can sit and imagine, and no one can stop you from doing it. But can you give reality to the imagined state? That is Neville's question. Reality is not given by external proof, but by the feeling of its truth within you. If you can feel the reality of your wish fulfilled, the outer world will have no other option but to conform to it. A point often overlooked, but one that fits perfectly here, is the but then tactic. We present a common belief: I want something, but I see no way to achieve it. There's no one eligible for a relationship, no job opportunities. Then we introduce Neville's twist: but you don't need to know who or how. All you need to do is decide within yourself what you want and assume that it is already yours. Then the universe will take care of the details, creating the bridge of incident. assurance. This tactic not only breaks objections, but also reorients the mind to the power of assumption. Imagination is invisible to mortal eyes, but it is the true cause. No one knows what you are imagining except you. No one can stop you from imagining, and if you give reality to that imagined state, the bridge of incidents will appear. Do not give causation to any physical step you took towards the fulfillment. The cause is invisible, the cause is God, and God is your own wonderful human imagination. I ask you, at this moment, to pause for an instant, close your eyes, and feel the reality of your greatest desire, as if it were already unfolding at this very moment. Capture that mood, that emotion, and every night, before falling asleep, and every morning, upon waking, return to that feeling, because by doing so, you are not just daydreaming, you are activating the most powerful law in the universe. Have you ever felt the frustration of deeply desiring something, applying visualization techniques, only to then see doubt creep in, eroding your faith and dissipating the energy you had invested? This is a common challenge on the journey of conscious creation, and that is why we will delve into the essence of unwavering faith and persistence. Neville Goddard emphasized that assumption, however vivid, only solidifies into fact if it is sustained by a faith that transcends logic and external appearances. Faith, in the context of Neville's teachings, is not blind belief in something external, but an inner certainty in the power of your own imagination. It is the deep conviction that with God all things are possible, and that this God is your own I am, your wonderful human imagination. When you assume a state, you are, in fact, calling upon your divine self, declaring that what you imagine is the truth. Doubt is the great saboteur. It is like a poison that prevents the growth of the seed you planted in your imagination. Neville told us, if you persist in your assumption, though at the moment it is denied by your senses and by reason, it will harden into fact. Persistence is not an exhaustive effort, but a faithfulness to the assumed state. It is the commitment to repeatedly return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, no matter what the outer world seems to tell you. Imagine you are trying to learn a new language. You don't expect to be fluent in a week. You practice every day with the faith that, with persistence, you will achieve fluency. In the same way, the law of assumption requires this same discipline and faith. Each time you fall asleep in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, each time you inwardly assume that your wish is already a fact, you are strengthening that conviction, engraving it more deeply into your subconscious. God calls things that are not seen as though they were seen, and then the unseen becomes seen. This scripture passage is the backbone of persistence. You are calling your desire from the realm of the unseen into the seen. But for this to happen, you need to live in the conviction that it already exists, even if your eyes do not yet see it. It is a precondition for manifestation. Neville recounted the story of his family, which was the inspiration for much of his teachings. He narrated how his brother Victor, a young man with no capital, managed to buy a commercial building, expand a business to all the islands, and years later, even received an unexpected and substantial inheritance. All this began with a vivid imagination. Victor saw himself with his family's name on the building's marquee, where the former owner's name had been. He did this twice a day for 2 years. His senses and reason told him it was impossible. He had no money, no influence, but he persisted. He kept faith in his assumption, and what happened? A completely unexpected bridge of incidents emerged. A man, seemingly a stranger, offered to buy the building for him without requiring collateral, only his signature, because he had watched Victor and his family and saw honesty in them. Who could have foreseen or planned such an improbable encounter? It was the manifestation of Victor's faithfully maintained, imagined state. Often, the bridge of incidents can seem, at times, counterintuitive or even an initial setback. Neville warned, "You may be fired tomorrow, but don't worry. On reflection, you will see it was necessary to move you towards the fulfillment of your assumption." He narrated cases where people lost their jobs, but this loss was, in fact, a catalyst for a much better job with a higher salary, exactly as they had imagined. The outer world, in its wisdom, sometimes needs to kick us out of our comfort zone to push us towards our wish fulfilled. Unwavering faith means trusting this process, even when it seems counterintuitive. Persistence also involves the ability to ignore the facts of the senses when they contradict your assumption. Do not deny that the account is empty or that the relationship is over. Just give primacy to your inner assumption. Neville spoke of sleeping in the end. If you desire health, do not focus on the current illness. Go to the end. Imagine someone saying to you, "I've never seen you look better," and hear yourself reply, "I've never felt better." Give reality to that inner conversation. This is not easy at first. The critical mind, accustomed to analyzing and judging based on physical evidence, will resist. But faith is a muscle that strengthens with use. Each time you choose your imagination over circumstances, each time you refuse to doubt, you are training that muscle. And, in time, faith will become your second nature. But then, how can we be sure we are on the right track? Neville's answer is simple. You will feel it. When you are truly assuming the state of the wish fulfilled with faith, there is a sense of peace, of certainty, that it is already done. There is no anxiety, no need to force, just a quiet conviction. I invite you to reflect. Where in your life have you allowed doubt to steal the power of your imagination? Is there an area where you feel stuck because you cannot sustain faith? Believe in your ability to transform these patterns. Did you like what you've learned so far? If so, please like this video. It's a small gesture that makes a big difference and helps us bring this transformative message to more people who, like you, seek to awaken their consciousness. Now, let's delve deeper into the art of assuming the fulfilled desire. This is not just a step, but the very essence of conscious manifestation. It's not enough to wish, visualize, or even have faith. You must become the state of your desire already fulfilled. Neville Goddard invited us to dwell in the end. What does this mean in practice? It means that you don't just think about your desire, but you mentally and emotionally occupy it. It's like an actor who, to portray a character, doesn't just memorize lines, but immerses themselves in the psychology, habits, and feelings of that character until they become them on stage. You must become the you who already has your desire. Start with the question, what would I feel if my desire were a reality now? This question is the key. It's not about what you would do, but about what you would feel. Feelings are the language of the subconscious, and it is through them that your imagination becomes the most potent creative force. If you desire financial abundance, what would be the feeling of having all your bills paid, of having the freedom to buy what you need without worry? Would it be a feeling of relief, of gratitude, of security? Identify that feeling. Once the feeling is identified, the next step is to cultivate it. Neville suggested creating a small scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire and repeating it mentally. Not a complex scene, but something simple and vivid. For example, if you want a new house, instead of visualizing the house itself, imagine the feeling of the keys in your hand, or the smell of fresh paint on the walls, or the sound of your family celebrating the move. Make that scene so real that you can almost touch it. And here's the crucial point. Sleep in that feeling. Every night, before falling asleep, immerse yourself in the sensation that your desire has already been fulfilled. Don't worry about the hows or whence. Just rest in the certainty that it is already yours. This practice is not just a visualization. It is an act of subconscious affirmation. It's like programming a computer with the desired end result. Neville emphasized that we do not need the consent or knowledge of others to imagine on their behalf. We can and should use our imagination lovingly for the good of others. He gave an example of a friend in Los Angeles who was about to be fired. This friend had no external support and a family to provide for. Neville himself, living by this law, sat at his desk and imagined hearing the man tell him that he had been praised by his superiors for something he had done. In less than 48 hours, there was a complete reversal in the superior's attitude, praising the man. But the man, still feeling the discomfort of the harsh words previously spoken, decided to quit his job without another one in sight. Then, my friend, who consciously lived the law of assumption, imagined the man employed earning 25% more than in his previous job. Without the man's knowledge, Neville inhabited that state. And what happened? At the end of the 2 weeks' notice, the man received a job offer, earning 25% more without losing a single day's salary. Who did that? Neville's loving imagination, which assumed the fulfilled desire on behalf of his friend. This example shows us that we do not need to depend on external circumstances or the approval of other people. Reality is fluid, and it bends to our faithfully maintained imagination. The bridge of incidents can arise in unexpected ways, involving people you don't even know, situations that seem miraculous. But for those who understand the law of assumption, it is simply the law in action. A fundamental aspect of living in the fulfilled desire is to eliminate the need to force or plan the steps. When you assume the end, you trust that the infinite intelligence within you will orchestrate the necessary events. Trying to control the how is, in fact, a sign that you are not fully in the assumed state. It's like doubting the seed after planting it, digging it up to see if it's growing. Nature does its work in silence and with perfection. Living from the end requires detachment from the immediate physical outcome. You have already felt the joy and certainty of having your desire fulfilled, so there is no need to look for external evidence to validate it. The evidence is in your feeling, in your inner conviction. It is a state of being, not a state of seeking. Often, people confuse living in the end with passivity, but it is not that. It is an intense internal activity that leads to inspired external action. When you are in the state of the wish fulfilled, the right actions will arise, naturally, effortlessly, as a logical extension of your new state of being. You will be guided, often in subtle ways, to take the necessary steps, but these steps will not be motivated by desperation, but by certainty. So, tonight, as you prepare for sleep, or at any moment of stillness, practice the art of assuming your fulfilled desire. Do not ask, do not plead, just be it. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the peace that would come with the realization. Give that feeling all the reality you possess and sleep in it. Trust that, by doing so, you are activating the deepest and most creative power in the universe. Let's unpack the concept of the bridge of incidents, a term Neville Goddard used to describe the process by which the objective world magically reorganizes itself to manifest the state you have assumed. The beauty and liberation of this understanding lie in the fact that you do not need to force events, manipulate people, or plan the house. The universe takes care of it. When you assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled and persist in it with unwavering faith, you activate a universal law that begins to orchestrate a series of events, encounters, opportunities, and circumstances that will lead you to your goal. This is the bridge of incidents. It is the visible manifestation of your invisible, imagined state. Neville warned against a common mistake. People tend to give credit to the bridge of incidents, to the physical steps that were taken, as the cause of the manifestation. They say, "Oh, I succeeded because I met such a person, or because I had that idea, or because that opportunity arose." But Neville insisted, do not give causation to any physical step that you took towards the fulfillment. The cause is invisible, for the cause is God, and God is your own wonderful human imagination. The example of Neville's family is a vivid testament to this. Victor, his brother, did not go out looking for investors or buyers. He simply imagined his family's name on the building's marquee. The bridge of incidents was a man who, out of nowhere, offered to buy the building for him without requiring collateral. Who could have foreseen or planned such an improbable encounter? It was the manifestation of Victor's imagined state. The bridge of incidents may, at times, seem counterintuitive or even an initial setback. Neville mentioned that, upon assuming a better job or a higher salary, you may actually be fired from your current job. To the rational mind, this would be a disaster. But, through the lens of the law of assumption, it is merely a necessary step on the bridge of incidents. The firing could be the push that leads you to a far superior opportunity you would never have sought otherwise. It is the universe removing what no longer serves to make way for what you truly desire. Imagine you want to travel to a specific destination. You assume the feeling of already being there, the joy of the trip. Then, a friend calls and suggests a trip elsewhere, where an unexpected expense arises that seems to prevent you from saving for the trip. The logical mind would say, it won't work out, but for the practitioner of the law of assumption, These may be part of the bridge. Perhaps the outing with the friend leads you to a contact who offers a remote work opportunity that pays for the trip. Or the unexpected expense forces you to reorganize your finances in a way that, in the end, leaves you with more money for your destination. The key is trust and detachment from the hows. When you have assumed the end, the infinite intelligence within you knows exactly how to get you there. Your job is not to micromanage the universe, but to remain faithful to your imagined state. The actions you need to take will become clear and often feel natural and effortless, like a divine inspiration. A common mistake, but one that can be avoided, is to become obsessed with the bridge of incidents. People wonder, is this event part of the bridge or that one? This excessive concern is a sign of doubt, that you are not fully in the state of the wish fulfilled. Then, when you are truly in the end, you don't worry about the steps of the journey. You trust that the path will reveal itself. The bridge of incidents is not a shortcut to inaction. It is a guide to inspired action. When you live in the state of the wish fulfilled, you become magnetic to opportunities and people who resonate with that state. You may be impelled to send an email, to make a call, to go to an event. In these actions, which seem mundane, are, in fact, the links of the bridge. Neville told us another story of a young man who desired a business. He imagined his family's name on a building. One day, a building was put up for sale. He had no money, but a man approached him and, due to the family's reputation for honesty, offered to buy the building for him without collateral, with only his signature. This man, years later, in addition to receiving payment, left the young man a fortune in cash and property, all tax-free. No one could have planned this series of events. It was the bridge of incidents in action, manifesting a persistent imagination. To truly understand the bridge of incidents, you must release the need for control. Life is a constant flow of events that bend to your consciousness. When you change your consciousness, the flow changes. Do not resist events that arise, even if they seem challenging. Ask yourself, how can this be leading me to my desire? Trust that everything is cooperating for your good, even if reason cannot immediately comprehend it. What does this idea of the bridge of incidents evoke in you? Have you ever experienced something in your life that, in retrospect, seems to have been a bridge of incidents to a desire of yours, even if you didn't know what you were doing at the time? Share your insights in the comments. The exchange of experiences strengthens the faith of us all. We have reached a crucial point in our journey where the depth of Neville Goddard's teachings manifests in its most liberating and, at the same time, most challenging form: forgiveness and non-judgment. To master the law of assumption, it is imperative that we stop blaming external events, people, or circumstances for our reality, and, instead, recognize our own imagination as the primary cause of everything. Most people live in a cycle of blame and victimhood. When something bad happens, they point the finger at the government, at the boss, at the spouse, at luck, or at anything else outside themselves. Neville reminds us that if all things were made by him, and he is your own wonderful human imagination, then he has to be responsible for the unlovely things as well. This is not a license for self-flagellation, but an invitation to self-responsibility at its highest level. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. I create the blessing and I create the curses. This biblical passage, quoted by Neville, is a direct affirmation of our own creative capacity. But he warns us, but now I must choose life, choose the lovely things. The power to create both the beautiful and the unlovely resides within us through our imagination. Therefore, forgiveness begins by recognizing that there is no other creator outside of you who is responsible for the unwanted things in your life. To forgive is not to forget, nor is it to justify what is wrong. It is to release external causality. It is to recognize that the source of all experience, whether good or bad, resides in your own mind, in your states of consciousness, in your assumptions, often unconscious. When you refuse to blame the external, you free yourself from the role of victim and assume the role of creator. Neville challenged us: if I can find that creator and identify with my own wonderful human imagination, then I can pass the bubble. I can turn to anything and blame it for the things happening in my life. The bubble is lose the illusion that something external has power over us. Once you see that imagination is the root of everything, the bubble dissolves. Non-judgment extends not only to others, but also to yourself. Do not judge yourself for having created unwanted things. Instead, learn from them. They are merely manifestations of states of consciousness that you occupied. Use them as a sign that it is time to change your assumption, to choose a more loving and desirable state. Think of a conflict in a relationship. The natural tendency is to blame the other person for their behavior, for their words. But what if the root of that conflict lay in an assumption you made about that person or about the relationship itself? What if you had imagined, even for a brief moment, that the person was difficult, critical, or indifferent? The outer world, being a mirror, merely reflected back what you imagined. Forgiveness, in this context, becomes an act of reimagining. Instead of dwelling on what the other person did, you imagine them in the state you wish them to be in. Imagine them as loving, understanding, supportive, and then forgive yourself for having allowed your imagination to create an undesirable state. By forgiving yourself, you forgive the world, for the world is yourself pushed out. Neville illustrated this with the story of Judas, the betrayer. He said, "Judas, I am self-betrayed. There is no external Judas who betrayed you. The betrayal occurs within you when you betray your own divinity, your own imagination, by surrendering to doubt, to fear, to judgment. It is the part of us that doubts our own creative power, and by understanding this, we forgive the Judas within us and realign with our true essence. This process of non-judgment is also crucial when things go wrong, or when the bridge of incidents manifests in an unexpected way. If you are fired from your job, do not judge yourself as a failure. Do not judge the boss is bad. Just recognize that this is part of the bridge, a necessary step towards a greater destiny you imagined. The human mind, in its limitation, cannot comprehend the totality of divine wisdom operating through the law of assumption. The beauty of forgiveness and non-judgment is that it releases immense energy. When you stop spending energy blaming and resisting what is, you free up that energy to imagine more consciously and lovingly. It becomes easier to assume the state of the wish fulfilled because you are no longer burdened by the weight of the past or by guilt. Neville was a master at simplifying these profound truths. You don't have any family tree. The true Israelite is not a descendant after the flesh, but the elect of God of whatever nation. He meant that your true ancestry is divine. Your true lineage is of God. There is no past to be judged, to be ashamed of. Only the eternal I am, which is pure potentiality. To forgive is to love, and to use imagination lovingly on behalf of others is the highest act of forgiveness. When you imagine the best for someone, you are releasing that person from any limiting concept you may have had about them, and at the same time, you are releasing yourself. What does this perspective of forgiveness and non-judgment awaken in you? Has there been a time when you realized that blaming the external led you nowhere, and that real change came from an internal shift? Leave your reflection in the comments and help enrich this community of seekers. We have arrived at the culmination of our journey, the deepest and most liberating truth that Neville Goddard bequeathed to us: unity with the divine. This is not a religious belief in the dogmatic sense, but a revelation of your true identity. The understanding that the I am within each of us is the very divine consciousness, the source of all creative power. With this revelation comes the immense responsibility to use that power lovingly and consciously. Neville based his philosophy on the mystical interpretation of Scripture, especially on the identity of Jesus Christ. He taught that Christ is not an external historical figure, a man who lived 2,000 years ago in a body separate from us. Christ is the I am within each individual, the human imagination. Christ in us, the hope of glory. He said, He did not appropriate a single man. He dwells in us, not in that particular man. Christ is the imagination, resurrecting within you, making you God Himself. When you say I am, you are invoking the name of God. When you say, I am happy, I am wealthy, I am loved, you are molding the divinity within yourself according to your assumption. This is the essence of your unity with the divine. There are not two gods, there are not two creators. There is only the one, and that one resides within you. This revelation is not to be kept secret, but to be lived and tested. Go out and put it to the test. Put it to the extreme test. If you are God, if your imagination is the source of all reality, then you have the power to create. And with that power comes responsibility. Neville always emphasized the loving use of imagination. Use your imagination, always lovingly, on behalf of others. This means that, just as you imagine your own desire fulfilled, you can imagine the desire fulfilled for your friends, your family, even for strangers. Imagine them healthy, prosperous, happy, not with the intention of manipulating them, but with the pure desire to see them in their highest good. By doing so, you not only bless the other, but also uplift yourself, for everything you send out through your imagination returns to you. The word of which Neville spoke in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He defined as meaning. In the beginning, there was meaning to everything, and that meaning, that intention, was God. There is a purpose, a plan behind it all, written within us. He became us, that we might become God. It seems incredible, but it is true. This is the purpose of life, to elevate humanity to the divine state. Union with the divine does not imply losing your individuality. Neville assured us, you will never lose your identity. You will awaken one day, and you are the Lord Jesus Christ himself, without loss of identity. That's the great mystery. You will be you, but you will also be God. You will not bow your head in shame, and yet you will not lose your identity. This unity with the divine invites us to a new way of living, where every thought, every feeling, every assumption is an act of conscious creation. There is no longer room for victimhood, for blame, for limitation. There is only the power, the responsibility, and the freedom to create the reality you desire. He told us that his mother, despite not having an impressive family tree by worldly standards, instilled in her children an unwavering sense of dignity. When they did something she was ashamed of, she would ask, "Have you forgotten that you are a Goddard?" They didn't fully understand, but that phrase created a sense of importance. She made the name Goddard important in their minds, and that inner feeling of worth and dignity manifested in their lives and businesses. She understood, intuitively, the unity with the divine, and that true aristocracy is of the spirit, not of the flesh. True freedom does not come from physical death, for death here is merely restoration in a world just like this. True freedom and unity come from individual resurrection, the awakening within this life to your true identity as the risen Lord. It is when you are freed from the bondage to decay and become one with the risen Lord, because there is only one body, one spirit, one Lord, one God and Father of all. Everything in this world is a manifestation of your consciousness. Neville described a vision where he was at the top of a very tall ladder, and below him, all the wild beasts of the forest were angry. He was afraid, but then he realized, but that's myself made visible. He arrested the activity within himself, and the beasts froze, dead. Their life was in him. On another occasion, he stopped the activity in his head while observing a dinner scene, and everything around people, birds, falling leaves froze instantly. When he released the activity, everything continued its course. This demonstrates that we are the animating power, the I am, that gives life to everything. Without man, everything would be dead, for God is in man. Therefore, the final revelation is that you are that God. You are the creative power. Your imagination is not something you have, but something you are. And this truth demands that you dare to assume that you are that man of God, and then apply what you have learned. If you do not falter and remain faithful to your assumption, it will harden into fact, because imagination creates reality. Now, I invite you to a moment of silence and reflection. Breathe deeply. Feel the presence of your I am. Feel the power of your imagination. Recognize that you are not separate from God, but are the very expression of divinity. May this truth permeate your being, transforming every thought and every action. Ritual of reflection for the day. Tonight, before you sleep, and throughout the day, Practice observing your own consciousness. Ask yourself, what state am I assuming now? And am I using my imagination lovingly or reactively? Commit to directing your imagination for good, for love, for beauty, not just for yourself, but for everyone in your life. Let this practice become a habit, a way of life, and observe how your world transforms into a more faithful reflection of the divine that you are. What does this teaching about unity with the divine awaken in you? Feel free to share your revelations, questions, or insights in the comments. Your awakening journey is an inspiration to many, and your participation is fundamental to building a community of consciousness. If you have felt inspired and transformed by this script and wish to continue your learning journey about Neville Goddard and the law of assumption, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Join our community for more content that will deepen your understanding and empower you to create the life of your dreams. Activate the notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos, where we will further explore the depths of these transformative teachings.